Hello everybody! In today's show I'm going to present to you how to use stitching in your scrapbooking layout, and I'm going to present you the basic stitch that can be very easily used even if you don't have a sewing machine. So first what I'm going to do is just make a line on a piece of paper. On this paper I'm just going to show you the different type of stitching, and I need a line because I cannot sew straight. So anyway, let's just make a line. Okay, and now I'm going to use piercing tool and make pierces along this line. Obviously when you're doing for your project, try to make them as even as possible, but if you don't want that even look, just don't bother with it. So I have my piercing tool, so I'm just going to start piercing. I'm not going to bother too much about the distance now, because I'm just showing you how it's done. I've completed the piercing, so now what I'm going to do is take a needle and thread and start sewing. I have here needle and thread. I'm using just white thread so you have a better contrast in your seam. What my recommendation is that you don't tie a knot at the end of the thread, because then it will show bulky on the other side. And what I do is I just start. What I do is I take the end of the line and I just use a little bit of Scotch tape, and that's it. And my thread won't go anywhere. So now I'm going to show you first the simple stitch. This is very easy. You just take your thread, you put it in, okay, and then you go on the other side and then you go in, to the next hole. And then again. I cannot see without turning it, sorry guys. I hope you can see what I'm doing. So again, I'm threading it on the back and turning it into the next line. And obviously after I'm done, I'm just going to erase the pencil markings. Here's how it looks in the front, and here how it looks on the back. So let's try another one. So I'm putting in my thread in the back in the next hole, and then in the front also in the next hole. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to show you the back stitch. So basically what you do is you can even continue from this simple stitch. We have one stitch done on the face. Then we do the same thing on the back, stitch it in, and then instead of making the next stitch in front, we do the next stitch backwards. So look, we have a continuous stitch. So again, we do on the back, we put the thread in the next hole. So I have my thread here on the next hole. And then here in the front, instead of going to the next hole, I go to the back hole. So again, the back next hole, whoopsie, and then one hole back on the other side. And one more, let me show you one more. So this is how it looks on the back, and then in the front you have here the simple stitch, thread, gap thread, and then one continuous line, which is the back stitch. Also, what I wanted to show you is the cross stitch, and for this I need a new set of holes. So I have here 2 sets of lines of holes, and I'm going to start from this hole, the bottom down, and I'm going to start from the back. So I'm starting from the back in that hole, and then I'm going to tape it again, but I'm just going to hold it. And then I'm going to move to the second top hole. Okay, and then on the back I'm going to go to the top first hole, and then in the front I'm going to go to the second bottom hole, and this is one crisscross. Yeah, so then I'm going to go again to the next one, and then continue on. Hoppa. I'm sure that you already know these stitches, but just in case, these are very useful and very simple to use with your scrapping layout. And just another thing, what you can also do is not leave this gap and just start continuously, and I'm just going to show you one stitch on how to do that. I cannot find the hole. Okay, so this is the cross stitch. You can use it either way you want. I prefer, my favorites are this continuous stitch, the back stitch, and also the cross stitch with a gap. And usually I like to do that where I have my paper and then my border and stitch them together. Obviously they're all glued together, but that's just an embellishment. This is one of the layouts that I did, and you can see here the border where I stitched it. This is just manual stitch, no machine stitching. Also, you can use here the crisscross, to embellish it more, and on top, or what you can do, you can take bezel paper and then a smaller printed paper, and then you can just do a stitch around it. That would look really nice. So I hope you enjoyed this tip. This is a really inexpensive way to embellish your layout. And I hope I see you again. Bye!